And Parlay family, it's me, Detroit Lenny here, talk a little college football with Cam Ross and Sniper West. We're going to talk the ACC. We're going to do a little preview action here. College football is right around the corner. You guys are going to like, share, subscribe. Use that promo code at the bottom, LENNY20. Saves you 20% off your entire purchase, picksandparlays.net. Let's get this party started. I gave both these cappers the task. Give me 3 bets. Give me 3 plays from this ACC that you like. I feel like this conference is a little wide open. We were kind of talking about this before we started recording. Not really wide open, but I don't want to give it away. But let's just start with Cam Ross. Cam Ross, North Crack-a-Lacka, over 7.5 wins from you. I know you're big Dookie, and I know you're just anti-North Crack-a-Lacka, but, I mean, now you're going over 7.5 wins. Stop flip-flopping, young man. I know it's the election season, but come on, man.
As far as the whole North Carolina Duke thing, that's all basketball. Football, not really a big fan of either, not really heavy on either side. But no, North Carolina, they've been pretty good the last couple of years. They started last year 6-0, finished 8-5 following their blowout loss in the Duke's Mayo Bowl after their quarterback sat. But North Carolina has 3 legit guys on campus that could be their quarterback. Connor Harrell has come up through the program, a red shirt. He played a little bit last year. He started 5 games. He played in the Duke Mayo Bowl last year once Drake May opted out. Max Johnson has spent time in the SEC. He started more than 20 games with LSU and Texas. And then they have a guy that's returned, Jacoby Criswell, who's played a lot of college football as well. But the biggest thing that makes me a fan of this North Carolina team this season is they have a fantastic schedule. They open the season on the road against Minnesota, but then they go Charlotte, North Carolina Central, James Madison, and then on the road at Duke. That's likely 4-1 at the worst. Could be 5-0, but they have Boston College. They have Georgia Tech. They have Pittsburgh. They don't have Clemson. That's a big deal. They avoid Clemson. Yeah. You have to go on the road to Florida State. But I just like North Carolina to be able to finagle through this year with the talent they have, with the season they have, and pull off enough wins to make a bowl and to go over their win totals this year.
I like that. Over 7.5 wins. Finagle their way to 8 wins right there. Sniper West here. Tree, Stanford, under 3.5 wins. Going to be a tough year for the Tree, says you. Explain yourself.
Yeah, well, first of all, Stanford and the ACC it seems wrong, right? I mean, it's the Atlantic.
It ain't right.
It's the Atlantic Coast Conference, and you get a team from California in the ACC. It's just very, very strange. But last year was a complete rebuild under Troy Taylor, but their roster was absolutely pillaged through the transfer portal in 2022, which is why they didn't have a great year. But Ash was the quarterback. He's going to have to stave off Elijah Brown. Elijah Brown's a 4-star recruit, and he's, laying in wait, so to speak. And last year, the O-line wasn't great. They allowed 41 sacks. The rushing attack ranked number 103 in the nation. They only had 3.5 yards per carry. Okay, that's against the Pac-12. Now they're playing the ACC. I mean, how do you think these ACC defenses are going to defend that run, right? So it doesn't bode well for their offense, in my opinion. And their defense, the Stanford defense, they ranked number 129 in the nation. They allowed 461 yards a game, and they allowed the most passing yards in the country. And again, I say that's against the Pac-12. What do you think the ACC is going to do to them? So it doesn't stack up. It doesn't look good for Stanford here. You could actually catch this under 3.5 at plus money. I have it about plus 150-ish, so to speak. So I like the under. The new kid on the block, and I think they're going to get bullied, as the new kid on the block does sometimes. And I'm going to roll with the under here with Stanford under 3.5.
Yeah, I don't like them here in this division. I think they're bad defense. And this ain't going to play well for Stanford. Under 3.5 wins from them from West. All right, Cam Ross, you're up next. Second one on your list is Wake Forest, over 4.5 wins. The Demon Deacons get to 5 wins. Do they finagle their way, or are they going to bully their way? What says you?
Yeah, I actually think they will finagle their way to heading over their win total. Last year they started 3-0. They looked great out of the gate, but they finished 4-8. They had a hell of a schedule last year. They were on the road against Clemson, on the road against Virginia Tech. They had Florida State. They had to go to Duke. They finished the year in Notre Dame, and then they went to Syracuse. So, that was a big thing for them. They have enough talent to do well enough in this conference, but their schedule, much like North Carolina, is pretty favorable. They start the year with North Carolina A&T, then they get Virginia, then they have Ole Miss, and they have Louisiana. That's a 3-1 stretch, but they have to go to UConn, they have to go to Stanford, then they finish the year at home against Duke. Stanford's going to struggle. UConn's terrible. North Carolina A&T isn't enough. Virginia has had issues. That puts them right there on the cusp with this lackluster schedule. I think they'll have enough to find that extra win. They could upset somebody and even see a bowl game, but either way, I think Wake Forest will have enough this season to build on for the future to go over their win total.
I'll give you the 5 wins. Don't get carried away with the bowl, though. SMU over 8.5 wins for Sniper West for your second play. Explain yourself here for Smoo.
So we have the new kid on the block again, right? Because SMU is coming in here and from a new conference, or from an old conference rather. But they have 82% returning production, which is top 20 in the nation. So that's a big deal. They have a lot of guys coming back here. Now, and speaking of easy schedules, they have an easy schedule also. I think this team can actually win 10 games. The over-under is 8.5, but I think they can get to 10, to be honest with you. Preston Stone, he's returning at quarterback. He threw for 3,000 yards, 28 TDs, only 6 picks, 60% of his passes. They got Jordan Hudson. He's one of the leading wide receivers. He's returning. He had 425 yards last year, 7 touchdowns. RJ Maryland, security blanket tight end right over the middle. Their 3 leading rushers all return. And they add Miami transfer Brashard Smith. So, the O-line, they lost some guys on the O-line, but they reloaded in the transfer portal. Their defense, they were among the top 15 defenses in the country in yards per game last year. Granted, that was against lesser competition, but they should be strong against the run, and they should get to the quarterback all year. I like them over the total this year. I think they're going to make some noise. We were talking with Cam about that off camera, and I like SMU. I'm high on SMU this year.
Yeah, I tell you what, I do like their schedule's a little, it's like their schedule's a prove it type situation. If their schedule works out in their favor and we are who we think they are, they should sail to this 10 wins, I think, as well. Like you're saying, over 8.5 wins from Sniper West. Cam Ross, we talked about this. Duke, basketball, football, flip-floppies. What are you doing here? Under 5.5 wins?
Yeah, this Duke team, much like some of the other teams that both of us have talked about, they started the year last year fantastic. They shocked Clemson 28-7 to open the year. Started 4-0. They were 5-1. Then they went on the road to Florida State, dropped a couple, finished the year 8-5 with a win in the Birmingham Bowl against Troy. But that's really, really not the case this year. They have a horrible conference schedule. Manny Diaz is now at the helm. He's taken over. And to start November, he has to go to Miami, and I would imagine Miami is going to come, for his throat, whatever you say. Duke starts with Elon. They go to Northwestern. Then they have UConn. And then they have Middle Tennessee. That could be a 3-1 type thing, with Northwestern probably going to be able to beat them with them having to go all the way out there. But then it's North Carolina, Tech, Florida State, SMU, on the road to Miami, on the road to North Carolina State, and they finish the year in Wake. That Wake Forest game could be that potential bowl game for Wake Forest that I mentioned earlier. I just don't see it here for Duke. Manny Diaz is going to have a tough road.
Right.
Nobody really likes him in the ACC. I think Duke's going to struggle and go under their win total.
There you go. North Carolina over 7.5 wins. Wake Forest over 4.5 wins. And Duke under 5.5 for Cam Ross. Sniper West, your last play is Florida State, the dominant Florida State, over 9.5 wins. Your thoughts on this?
Well, there's a lot of love for FSU once again. We have a total of 9.5 here, last I checked. And FSU, they have a great offensive line. Okay, they're going to have a great running game again this year. And that's hopefully it's going to take some pressure off DJ Uiagalelei. I'm going to call him DJU from here on out in the video because I can't pronounce that name. But as far as the receivers, they lost Keon Coleman. He went to Buffalo, the Bills, that is. Johnny Wilson and Jaheim Bell, they're all gone. But Hakeem Williams and Ja'Kai Douglas, they should step up this year. Malik Benson, he comes in from Alabama. So they have guys who can go get the ball, okay? And remember, too, this FSU defense, they were 11th in the nation in pass defense, 3rd in third down defense, and they allowed under 20 points per game. And those stats there, that's factoring in the 673 yards they gave up to Georgia and the 63 points. So those stats are still relevant even after that Georgia game, right? So they had a really good defense, and I think it's going to be good. Again, they did lose Tatum Bethune, Kalen DeLoach, and Jared Verse. Jared Verse went to the Rams. But as far as the schedule, it's not very easy. They're at Notre Dame. They play Memphis, Clemson, Miami, and Florida at the end of the year. So the question is, those are 5 pretty tough games. Are they going to lose 3 of those games? I don't think they do. I have them at 10-2. And I think they go over the win total at 9.5. And I like the Seminoles. And we were talking also, I like FSU to win the division. I think they're about -200 something. We were talking off camera. So I like FSU to win the division. But for purposes of the video, I'm going to go over 9.5.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think I like the 10 wins. I think this is one of those ones that I think you're going to sweat. I think they're going to get that 10th win in the last couple, maybe looking at their schedule, Charleston Southern, that Florida game could be a deal, could be a game at the end of the year. Florida State, Florida, the script's been written, start the movie now. There you have it. Sniper West, Stanford under 3.5 wins, SMU over 8.5 wins, and FSU over 9.5 wins from Sniper West. Guys, don't forget, you want more of their college premium plays coming up this season, NFL plays, MLB plays currently. Head over to picksandparlays.net. Use that promo code right down there, LENNY20. Save you 20% off your entire purchase at checkout. Till then, good luck unless you're against us. We appreciate everybody watching. Drop what you like, by the way, in ACC. Drop what you like in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. Good luck, everybody. Take care.